Okay, so we're in part 2 of this algebra packet. So we already did all the notes. Unfortunately, I used marker again, so it's kind of yucky, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. Again, you could take 5 minutes and try to get 3 right if you feel like you're not there yet, or you should do 3 minutes and try to get 3 correct because you're trying to just build up that pace. Remember, if you can do it right away. If you're like, oh, I know how to do it, I'm just going to do it later, or after I've read through them all, put a star, and there's a circle. You circle it if you don't know. Okay, and pause. Okay, here we go. We're going to start. So it says, which of these lists all the positive factors of 8? So we've got 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. That's all it is, so it's E. Moving on to the next one, this is kind of a repeat of what we've been doing with that M and N, or whatever, all those different questions. It says the sum of the real numbers is 11, so X plus Y is 11. And then this one says their difference is 5, so X minus Y is 5. Does this look familiar? Remember, we can put this underneath. And we can subtract and say X minus X cancels out. Y minus, so 1 minus negative 1 would make that 2Y, and 11 minus 5 is 6. And so Y is 3. So that's not good enough because it wants X times Y. So if I put 3 in here, X minus 3 is 5. If I added, X would be 8. And so X times Y, or 8 times 3, is 24, which is why it's J. Okay, the next one says, what's the slope? Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so this is my first point, x1, y1. This is my second point. I'll try to do a different color. Here we go. x2, y2. And so y2 is 7 minus 2 over my x2 is 6 minus negative 5. So you would have 5/11ths, or J. You could have done the reverse. You could have done 2 minus 7, but then you would have to do negative 5 minus 6, and that's why it'd be negative 5 and negative 11ths, and a negative over a negative is a positive. Okay, moving on to the next one. It's a weird question, but basically we know because this is positive, or absolute values, it could be the negative as well. But we don't have a negative answer, so we would just say D minus 3. And so if I added 3.001, that's why it's K. And the last one I'm going to do over here so that you can actually see it. It says that the slope, y equals ax plus b, so you have to know the slope is this a. A is greater than the slope y is c. So we know those are the slope because of the equation y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So I knew that from the definition of slope there. And it says which of these statements must be true? A must be greater than c, and so that's why J is the correct answer. Okay, one done. Now you've got 3 questions, so I would suggest you do 2 minutes and try to get 2 correct. So pick wisely and go. Okay, so first of all, it says we've got these 2 hoses that we're using to fill the pool. Twice as many gallons of water are flowing through one of the hoses than the other. Both hoses have been on for 12 hours and filling the pool to the 4-foot mark. So this is the height of the water. So first of all, we're filling up. So it can't be this guy or this guy. It says the hose with the slower flow then finished filling the hose with the faster flow stopped working. So it's not going to be consistent. Oh man, I gotta quit using markers. So it's gotta be one of these 2. So what this says is it's going slow then fast according to the steepness of the line. And this one says it's going fast and then it slows down. So since one of the hoses quit working, we assume that it was filling up fast and then slower. The next one we have here is a distributive property, so we would have 3x plus 6 is greater than 4x minus 12. And again, my x is on my left-hand side, so although it could work with you going this way, I would suggest this way. We're going to subtract 4x. So I've got negative 1x plus 6 is greater than negative 12. Subtract that 6. And I've got, I'm just going to do it over here, negative 1x is greater than negative 18. And again, we said if we multiply or divide by a negative, we're going to have to switch the direction. So that's x is less than 18. Now, you would have got 18 either way, but that's how, it won't always be that easy. Sometimes they don't do it like that. Okay, in the standard xy coordinate, the midpoint of this AB is, okay, so the midpoint's always on there. Sometimes they give you the midpoint and they want the endpoint. Sometimes they give you the two endpoints and they want the midpoint. But this time it says the midpoint is 4, negative 3. And it says A is at 1, negative 5. And so we've got to figure out what this is right here, xy. So it's in your formulas, but the midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 over 2, y2 plus y1 plus y2 over 2. So basically the average. Okay, so right here, if I'm looking at this, then I've got 1 plus x over 2 is going to have to equal 4. So I'm going to solve. I'm going to multiply by 2. So 1 plus x equals 8. Subtract 1, and x is 7. So this is 7. It's not an option, thank goodness, because that's not what you need to do. And let me give you a second to try the y if you'd like. Okay, so hopefully you did. We've got negative 5 plus y over 2 is supposed to equal negative 3 according to that midpoint. So again, if I multiply by 2, I get negative 5 plus y equals negative 6. And if I add 5, I get y equals negative 1. Okay. Right, so looking here, it says the question is, what is x plus y? So 7 plus negative 1 is 6. That's a toughie. All right, let's move on. So the next one, we've got 5 more questions. I didn't do as bad with the marker this time. It's just right here. It's yucky. It's okay. Okay, so we've got, we've got 4 questions. So again, I would try 2 minutes and try to get 2 correct. Pause. Okay, I would assume almost all of you skip this one. It's a beast, and only if you're honors should you even take time with this, but here's how you should do it. You would have x plus 1, and I can take an x out of both of those, and so that'd give me x squared minus 1. And here's where I'd give a pride coupon to anyone who knows what this is. Take pride in yourself if you do. That's a difference of squares. Oh man, so that's x plus 1 is x, and so it's x plus 1, x minus 1, which of course would cancel these 2 out because they're the same. And so we would have 1 over x times x minus 1, and then they have you distribute that back in. So that's why it's x squared minus x, and that's why the answer is J. That one's gross. It's okay if you didn't get that one right. The next one though, look at that. That looks really tough, but the truth is they only give me 2 numbers to deal with. I've got a 1. So what if I put in a 1 squared and 2 times 1 minus 3? So 1 would just be 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So 3 minus 3 is 0. That works. What if I put in a negative in the absolute value? Well, it'd still be the same, right? So 1 works. Okay, let's put in 3. So if I put in 3 squared plus 2 times 3 minus 3, does that equal 0? That's 9 plus 6. 9 plus 6 is 15 minus 3. 12 does not equal 0. So anything with a 3 is not true. Anything with a 3 is not true. Done. The next one says that we've got the 0.25, and it says, which of the following is another point on the slope 2,5 with the slope of negative 2/3? So you guys are supposed to know rise over run. So if it's rise of negative, that means we're going to go down, and we'll always run to the right, to the right. So we're going to go down 2 and over 3, and you can see it's going to go through D. This next one I'm not a huge fan of. And means it's in between, like this. And or means it's out, like that. So first of all, we got to get rid of the ands. And then no one writes it like this. I don't know why they did it. It should be x is less than or equal to -1 and x is greater than or equal to 3, because they're filled in and the arrows are going that way, but they didn't. They switched it, which means I have to switch the whole thing like that. Ugh, even I don't like this, so it's D. So I hope you at least got 42 and 43 correct. I'm gonna have to speed up, my phone's about to die. Oh wait, I have a plug-in. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so we got 2 questions here. I would suggest you hit 1 minute and try to get one of them right. Choose wisely. Okay, so the first one says all of the equations have equal scales when one of the graphs shows only points for where y-coordinate is. The y-coordinate is means equal, so y is 1 less than. 1 less than means -1. The square of the x-coordinate, x squared. So hopefully you know how to put things in the calculator, or you should already know what x squared looks like. X squared is a parabola like this, and then -1 means to go down 1. So you can see right here, it's the parabola moved down 1. So first of all, these are lines, so it can't be this one, this one. It's not upside down. And so this one is up 1, this one is down 1, and so that's why it's J. Number 53 says, which of these could be P is -1? Well, you have to know that this is in the place of x, and -1 is less than 0, not greater than 0, so we couldn't put in that one. We'd have to put in here, so we'd say -1 to the 5th plus -1 to the 4th plus 36 times -1 minus 36. You will get this wrong if you don't put in parentheses, because your calculator, let's just show you real quick. -1 to the 4th should be a positive, because a negative, let me prove it, negative times negative times negative times negative is positive. But if you don't put in the parentheses, it assumes that the negative's on the outside. So please use parentheses. Let me show my work here. So I would again put in -1 to the 5th plus -1 to the 4th plus 36 times -1 minus 36. And so you get -70 for A. Okay, going on to the last page here. You're going to have 3 problems. 3 problems. So again, I'm going to suggest that you take, I don't know, 2 minutes and try to get 2 correct. Okay, goodness, sorry. I woke up really early to do these for you guys because my family's loud. I love them, but they're loud. Okay, so here we have the pregnant problem again. It says to put G into F with X. So I'm going to put this into here. So F of G of X is the square root of 7x plus B. And then they told us the answer is here. So we have to know that's X and that's Y. So technically this is Y, so I'd say 6 is the square root of 7 times 4 plus B, and they want us to solve for B. So if I did that over here, I'm going to go ahead and simplify that. 7 times 4 is 28 plus B. The only way for us to get rid of a square root is to square both sides. So I'd have 36 equals 28 plus B. And then to get B by itself, we would subtract 28. And so we would get 8 is B. I guess you could have substituted in and just see which one works, but there's how I would do it. Oh man, I wish I was in person. So I used to teach my students, this is positive even or even, even, odd, odd, and I would make you guys do a little dance with your arms there. This is a positive odd or Todd, and then negative odd. Right, so even, odd, odd. If you've been in my class, you have seen me do that dance. And so it's asking you which one is odd. Well, it can't be this guy or this guy. All of those are a little bit odd, but it's not on the origin. And I think that's this distinguisher here for this one, for this particular question. Okay, and then here are logs. And our next lesson will include some more logs, but here's the basic general. First of all, they're very tricky. Oh gosh. They've got a 2 on these 2 logs, and they have a 5 on that log. So they're not actually totally equal. So technically, what we would do is, because that's minus, we should do log 2 of 24 over 3, because minus is division. So log 2, 8 is something, and so 2 to the something equals 8, and we know that that something is 3. So the answer is 3 equals log 5x, and so what that says is 5 cubed is x, and 5 cubed is 125, and so that's the correct answer there. But maybe you don't know how to do all that, so let me show you in your calculator. You can do math, up, enter. Let me write that down. Math, up, enter. So if we do math, up, enter, you can see it has this in. So I can do 2 and 24 minus math, up, enter, 2 and 3. And so that would give me that my answer was 3. So that's that left side. And then I guess you could use like the multiple choice over here to try it out, but if I put in my answer math, up, enter, if I did 5 and 125, I can see that that's also 3, that they're equal. Okay, there's another lesson done.